Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Byte to Geek. Today I'm going to be trying to help you answer the question, how long will your SSD drive actually last? So let's get to it. So what I want to walk through today, guys, is really trying to help you understand how long your SSD drive is going to last in your system the way you're currently using it at the moment. When SSDs came onto the market many years ago, one of the big questions really was how long were they going to last? Lots of concerns that after a few years basically they would just wear out and wouldn't be usable again. And that's not necessarily the case. And I've got a drive, which is the one we're going to look at today, a Samsung one, which was bought in 2014, and it's still working absolutely perfectly fine. So that's what I'm going to use, and that's what I'm going to walk you through how you do the calculation, and just talk to you about some of the things, how manufacturers look at these things as well. So let's jump into it. So guys, as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at this Samsung drive, and it's the 840 EVO 256 gigabyte, and this was bought, as you see there, 22nd of May 2014, so almost 7 years old, and probably for 5, maybe 6 years of that, just 5.5 years, it was actually the boot drive in my system. So it's had plenty of action in its time, and now it's a bit of a transfer drive within the system. It's been replaced by something else, so it's kind of a data transfer now in the system, but it still gets written to on a regular basis, so a good candidate for going through this process today. So starting off, guys, when you're working out how long your drive could potentially last, you need really to look at a couple of figures really. On the one hand, manufacturers, so this is the Samsung website we're looking at here. On the one hand, they'll specify a warranty period, 3 or 5 years or 10 years. If it's less than 3 years, I'd probably steer away from it, to be honest with you. But they also specify a TBW, which is terabytes written, and what they're saying is, we think the drive is going to last 3 years as a minimum. We'll replace that or fix it within the 3-year period, or you go and write 150 terabytes within 2 years. We think it's going to last that kind of length of time. And it's a very similar concept. If you're a car owner, you bought a new car and you get a warranty with it, it's got a warranty of 3 years or 60,000 miles. So that's the way they're working it here. Now, you're going to need to know the TBW figure, and the drive that I've got here, the 840 EVO drive, the 256 gigabyte one, as you can see here, Samsung have only got the warranty period on it, which is 3 years. Now, it is one of a handful of drives where they don't list a TBW figure, but I can probably determine by looking at the other drives around about that kind of capacity that this is probably going to be 70 to 75 TBW. I don't think it'll be any less than that, and it's very unlikely to be any more than that. So for this process, we'll go through and say that it's going to be 75 for the terabytes written. So you're going to need to know that figure before you really go forward. And if you can't find it off the manufacturer's website, or it's not on the back of the product or anything like that, you're probably going to have to email the support team to get that information. So guys, once you've got your TBW figure, you need to use something like Crystal Disk Info or Hardware Info, something like that. I'm using Crystal Disk Info because that's what I've got installed at the moment. But you need to use some of the values that are displayed on this screen. So I've got my Samsung EVO drive listed here, and as you can see, the health of it is 93%. This is a drive that's almost 7 years old, and it's still good at 93%. So I bought the drive nearly 7 years ago. I probably didn't install it straight away as soon as I got it. It probably took a a couple of weeks before I got that installed up and running. But you're going to need to determine how many days that drive has been in your system, really, and you know, so you're going to have to just calculate that really from the date of your purchase, give or take, you know, as I say, a few days or weeks or whatever. The next figure that you're going to need to really get is the total writes that have been done on the drive, and you can get that from the total host writes here. So you can see that's saying that it's 23, roughly 23.5 terabytes has been written onto that drive. Once you've got those figures, and I'm actually going to throw up the calculation on the screen now. This is the kind of like the template for the calculation. You can apply your own figures to this, and I'll show you what mine looks like in a minute. But basically, what you need to calculate is your number of days that you've had the drive, and multiply it by your TBW figure. Okay, and then multiply that by 1,000. So you know, we're using 1,000 because that is a terabyte for the calculation, and that will give you a result there, which you just need to, you know, park that to one side for the moment. You then need to take your total writes, your total host writes, so in this instance here, the 23 terabytes, and you need to multiply that by 365, and that's another result that you've got. And then basically, you know, you divide your first result by your second result, and that gives you a overall number of years that you can expect your drive to last. At the current rate that you've been storing and writing data to your drives. So if we just take my calculations really here, and for the sake of the calculation, you know, we'll say it's 7 years. It's near enough is bar 2 months. So we'll say 7 years for that, and you know, we will multiply that obviously by 365, get the number of days for that, and then multiply that by the TBW figure. So we're going to say this is 75 because that's roughly what the other drives were, and then we'll multiply it by 1,000. So that gives us 191,625,000 as a result, which you can see there on the screen. And then need to take that total host writes, which is 23,910 gigabytes, and we multiply that by 365 as well, which gives us 8,727,150. Once you've got those two figures, just divide the first one by the second one, and as you can see, 21.95 is the number of years that calculation works the lifespan of this drive remaining. And obviously that's based upon how I'm using that drive at the moment. It is approximately 7 years old, and you know, for something that had a 3-year warranty at the outset, has obviously gone past that 3 years and still has, you know, according to the calculations, what everybody believes now, a good lifespan still on it. Obviously, you know, that is very much going to change depending upon, you know, if I suddenly start writing a lot of data to that drive, that figure is going to reduce dramatically, and might well, you know, elongate the lifespan of it if I stopped using that drive. There's always a possibility that there would just be some hardware failure that will occur with that drive. You know, you can never rule that out, but just based upon how I'm currently using it, then that's what it calculates the drive, you know, what the lifespan is going to be on the drive. So pretty good, I'd say, and certainly, you know, when you look at the information on the screen there, you know, the smart status of the drive is good at 93% after 7 years usage. So you know, it definitely still has a good amount of life left in that drive at the moment. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you can see it's not all doom and gloom when it comes to SSDs, actually, I think that, you know, overall, I think manufacturers are seeing now that they are far more reliable than maybe what we originally thought they were going to be. And you know, this drive, 2014, here we are 7 years later, and it's still got a good life left in it. In fact, you know, it'll probably get upgraded before it actually dies, and, you know, it'll go in some other build or something like that. So obviously, you take this with the kind of like the general warnings. You know, it is all based around what you do with the drive. So, you know, if you are, you know, hammering that drive, lots of writing and stuff like that, it is obviously going to last an awful lot less than you know, the lifespan of my drive that I've got at the moment. That was a boot drive in the system, so I'd like to think, you know, that had quite a bit of activity on it. But you know, hopefully you found this video useful. You learned something new today. If you did, you know, hit that like button, and you know, consider subscribing to the channel if you're not a subscriber. But yeah, any comments or questions, you know, drop them down below, and I'll be happy to answer them where I can. But as always, thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.